Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is Sam Gayshak with Independent Processor Magazine. We're talking here today with Dana Ehrlich, the CEO and founder of Verde Farms. So, Dana, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate that.
Thanks, and happy to be with you again.
All right. So, we've spoken a little bit at the annual meat conference in March, and so we got some things to follow up on in that. But first off, to talk a little bit about the current state of affairs. How has the demand for your company's product been in the months since the coronavirus hit the U.S.?
Sales have been up dramatically. So since we last saw each other at the annual meat conference in March, which was only 2 months ago, but feels like 10 years ago, sales have basically doubled. And if we had more capacity, we'd even be higher than that.
All right. So what do you think is accounting for the rise of premium meat sales during this time?
I think it's a number of different factors. I think one is that the conventional industry, with the issues at the packer level, just having slaughter down, there's missing product off the shelf, and so consumers are looking for protein. And we've done a very good job being able to supply our customers. And so you've got a constraint on the supply side. And then, of course, you've had a transition from food service and a rotation into both retail and club, and a mindset of almost panic at the beginning, but also just a sustained level of high demand matched with the low supply gives folks that are able to supply product definitely a leg up.
So, Dana, how have you been able to manage the demand that you've seen over the last couple of months?
So it's been pretty impressive when the demand back in March just turned on really overnight. It doubled. And so we have a very strong operations team. And as you and I have spoken in the past, we've invested really millions of dollars both into our new manufacturing capability. We've put in a new Salesforce ERP system, and it really enabled us to transition overnight to a completely remote workforce outside of manufacturing, of course, and continue to support our customers. We've had very high fulfillment rates, even with that doubling of demand. We've had one of our co-packers shut down for 3 weeks, plus have issues going in and out of the shutdown. We've had another co-packer today, probably running at 50% capacity. We've had cold storages shut down. So there's been a huge disruption in the supply chain. But we've worked really closely with our customers, both the category managers and buyers, constant communication to maintain the best and most efficient production and operation that we can to maintain high in-stock rates throughout the process.
One of the things that we had talked about when we were at the annual meat conference was the processing extension of the company, because you started off as a brand. And then last year you got into manufacturing the product as well. And one of the things you had mentioned was that you had a planned expansion for later in this year. So kind of how has everything affected those plans?
Well, fortunately, we put those plans into place at the end of 2018 and executed in 2019. And I think the timing was fortuitous, and sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. But we launched that at the end of 2019 and have ramped up production on a single shift and a single production line. We're scheduled to increase both the number of shifts and capacity later in the year. And with everything going on with COVID, we've accelerated all of those plans. So we're planning to launch the second shift in 2 weeks, the week of June 1st. And we're planning to launch the second production line in July. So given all of the demand and the constraint on capacity, the capacity is the key bottleneck at this time. And so we're doing everything we can to get that capacity on as fast as we can.
Okay. And your manufacturing facility, it was kind of an interesting scenario because you're working in a cold storage building that's with a company that you've worked with in the past.
That's correct. We've co-located at Mulligan Hill Cold Storage just outside of Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is the largest port for meat imports. And so we've co-located our operation within the cold storage facility. And that's been a great plus during this time, because there's been so many supply disruptions, that there's been disruptions at the cold storage level as well. And being able to have a strong relationship and having the meat so close to where we store it has really proved advantageous.
All right. So, how have you altered your operations in the wake of the coronavirus in order to make sure that your employees stay safe during this time?
Great question. There is lots of different answers for that, from the way that we initially set up the operation to try and be as automated as possible. So there was natural spacing in between each employee to begin with. But we also created more spacing, especially on our pack out line. We've implemented some additional PPE. Of course, people use gloves, but masks as well. We've implemented protocols, such as when entering the facility, everyone has to have their temperature checked, and anyone over 100.4 will not be allowed on site. If anyone's suspected of any symptoms or being around people with symptoms, they're mandated to stay away for at least 14 days or to be tested. And we've also implemented deep cleaning protocols on certain weekends to make sure that the facility is as clean as possible.
All right. So now that we've gotten to the point in this that the economy is starting to open back up again, how do you plan on addressing the processing in the future, especially when you have new employees and new shifts coming on? Are you going to keep all these measures in place, or are you looking to phase out?
I'm sure at some point it will be phased out, but at this point, we haven't actually discussed that as a senior team. So all those protocols will stay in place, at least for the time being. And we're adding, as we add capacity, we're obviously need labor to support that. So we brought on more people, more training, both for operating the equipment, but also our safety protocols. So at this point, all of these protocols are going to remain in place.
Great, great. Well, thanks very much for taking some time to talk with us. We appreciate it. Thanks, Dana.
Thank you very much.